Live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri, he is the king of prime time, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love for the indefatigable KSM.
The KSM Show.
Hello. I'm very, very excited today, you know. Every now and then I have a guest that marvels me, and my guest today, Oyohinio, is show some love for that, man. Feel free. My guest today is a chief that you possibly know. I don't know. When I introduce him and he's coming, you tell me whether you know him or not. The stool name is Nana Kojo Entihini. Show some love, man. And that's the stool name. But I know in real life you know him differently. When I was thinking of a guest, you know, and I wanted to invite this guest, I called him. I said, Charlie, Nana, need you more? I want you on my show. And he says, oh, well, KSM, what topic? What are we going to talk about? I said, Nana, what? You speak, you are a very captivating person. I don't care whatever topic we talk about, I know you'll deliver. So it's here today, and you know him. Put your hands together. Show some love for the Kojo Nyansen. Hey. Kojo, welcome to the show, man.
It is great to be back, Uncle
Good
K.
to see you.
It's always a pleasure.
You're looking good, though.
Thank you.
Who's taking care of you? I'll ask you later. I'll ask you later.
All right.
So, folks, he's in the house, and we're going to take a short commercial break. When you come back, Nana Kojo Entihini is in the house. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe it's our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek. A most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
The KSM Show.
My name is Reverend Dr. Ernest Adujemfi, the chairman of the National Peace Council. I encourage you to watch KSM and you'll be educated. Stay blessed.
We're back. And I'm sorry, I cut the introduction a little bit short, you know. I didn't mention other things that he does, but I mean to be morning, you know. But the key things I want you to know, he is also the morning show for Joy FM. Show some love. He's a motivational speaker. This man is an author. And this man, I tell you, he does everything. Kojo, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much.
You're looking so good, man.
Thank you.
You're matching there, so is you. This tint of yellow, there's two. Wow.
I thought I'd make an effort for you.
All this for me?
Because you make an effort for us all the time. So, you know, returning the favor.
Thank you for over-favoring the favor. Wow. You look very good.
Thank you, and God bless
Where
you.
is it part of the kingly dressing?
Well,
you look very majestic.
Thank you. I've always liked African, style. And I've been looking for an excuse to wear more African things.
This is fantastic.
And so this seemed to be a great opportunity to do just that. So I've got a friend in Kumasi who makes these for me.
Really?
Yes, and yeah.
And I like it. It's like really different from the one way. It's not like heavy, bulky. This is like light and comfortable and all.
Precisely that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Folks, the next time you see me in town wearing something like this, they don't come and tell you, when I could just share, no, don't worry. I mean, I see things,
Please.
I dress just like this.
You have my permission to steal away.
Kojo, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much.
And I'm glad you took time. Yeah. I don't know where to start, except that, Charlie, Ghana, we're going through things. Parliament, there's a debate whether majority or minority. The Supreme Court actually has to come and interpret what that means. You inside the simple English, by a lawyer for say we've got it all wrong. Please, what's your take on this whole?
What a place to start. Yeah, I mean, when this whole thing began, just like you, I wondered what sort of ride we were being taken on. There seemed to be no ambiguity whatsoever about what the law said. But somehow, people who had benefited from the same law in the past suddenly felt that it should be applied differently and appealed to the Supreme Court for that purpose. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that this appeal was even made before the Speaker made a ruling. So by the time the Supreme Court was asked to interpret the law, the Speaker hadn't ruled.
Oh, really?
He hadn't. And well, I suppose now we have to call them the majority again. The NPP in Parliament anticipated that the Speaker was going to make a common sense ruling and it wasn't going to go in their favor. So they went to the Supreme Court. This is an important point for me when I'm thinking through everything that has happened. That first point, that they knew that if we were to take the law on its face, it would go against them. They knew. That's why they went to the Supreme Court.
Well, before the Speaker made that decision. Because
if it was straightforward, if they understood, if they expected everyone to take the straightforward meaning of what Article 97G and H actually say, there should have been no ambiguity whatsoever. But they knew that the meaning on its face of it would be that these 4 MPs have vacated their seats. Even now, in spite of what the Supreme Court has said, if you wrap your head around it, there is no other interpretation. You are an independent candidate. You have gone to the Electoral Commission and filled a form officially that you wish to be the NPP candidate for a particular constituency. Uncle K, can you be the NPP candidate for a constituency if you are not an NPP member? Is that possible?
Nope.
So just by the simple fact that the EC has accepted your nomination, that you will be, accepted your application, that you will be the candidate for the NPP, that automatically means that you are now a member of the NPP. Otherwise, you cannot represent them in that constituency. So with those given facts, how does anybody argue that this person is still an independent candidate? How do you make that argument? But they've made it, and the Supreme Court, for at least 5 of the 2 judges on the panel, have agreed. It's mind-boggling. But you see, this is how precedents are set. If the Supreme Court says that is how we must interpret the law, we must all bear in mind that this is how we will interpret it from now on.
So it's not a case law.
Yes.
Is that what they call it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So now, in the next parliament, when the next parliament is formed, say 1 year into it, if somebody then declares that next year I'm going to run for another party, we can no longer consider that to be crossing carpet. We can't. That's what the Supreme Court has told us. So we'll go by that, I guess. But now let's see how the you know, the adult children in Parliament behave now that the ruling has
I like
come.
that too.
Let's see how they organize
Yeah.
themselves on the
Yeah.
floor. You know, let's see who rushes to sit where. And look at how important they've made where I sit. They've made it more important than Galamsey. They've made it
Yes.
more important than reading the budget. They've made it more important than important allies that we
yeah.
need to pass in order for the election to go smoothly. None of those are more important than where Afenyo Makin plants his tush in Parliament. And by the way, that's not even Parliament. That is some makeshift chamber at the Accra International Conference Center that they are using in place of the Chamber of Parliament because of the works that are being done there. This is the level of ridiculousness that we are all being asked to follow. So, Uncle K, if you ask me what I think they've cheapened Parliament. They've made us all realize that we can live without that institution. I mean, we've gone on for how long with it being shut down, and nobody has died. Clearly, our lives...
Nobody even notices it.
Yes. Clearly, that is the level of impact that Parliament is having on our lives. It is of no moment to the average Ghanaian.
You know, I've never thought of it this way. I've never looked at it like that. Some say it's a constitutional crisis, whatever it is. You are saying, look, we are going on with our lives like there's no Parliament.
Yeah, because there is no Parliament. They are fighting over where to sit, but life goes on. I mean, I had breakfast today. I don't know about you. Well, I mean...
While they were deciding where to sit, you're having your breakfast.
And whether they figure it out or not, life will go on.
Yeah.
They themselves have signaled that there is no business more important than where they sit.
Yeah.
So clearly,
Yeah.
whether Parliament exists or not, we'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Folks, I mean, this is like a very, very hot soundbite for me, man. Whether Parliament sits or not, we are fine. Because while we were having breakfast and thinking, yeah, dreaming, now more dream where you sit, you know. And that's why I feel I'm very, very angry with a media person for calling the leader of the minority caucus this one called us fighting.
Continue to correct you. Stop misreporting. I am the majority leader. Don't say, no, say it. You've been saying it consistently, and I've been correcting you. The court has pronounced. Stop describing me as leader of MPP caucus. You should know better.
So, Nana, there you have it. Alexander Penyumaki. I'm clearly not happy with the description, with the description that's been widely reported in the media as leader of the MPP caucus. According to him, he still remains the majority leader, and there's been no set project. There's been no set.
Young man, wait. For the purpose of education, the speaker made a pronouncement. The court has ruled. You have lawyers at City. I don't know your experience in reporting, but once a court has made a pronouncement to restore the status quo, don't say that I am saying. You, as a reporter, there has been 2 rulings confirming that. So don't continue to describe me as leader of MPP caucus. Is that okay? Don't tell the public that I am claiming and that you don't know what it is. Unless you don't know why you are doing court reporting.
I know why I'm doing court reporting.
No. So can you clarify?
Yeah, but I've mentioned it clearly in previous reports and in subsequent reports that you are the leader of the MPP caucus of the House.
So when you say, what did you say, mature boys or mature
adult children?
Adult children. That's what they look like. I'm sorry.
I mean, he's being petulant, and there's no need for that. Afenyo Makin, what he really is the member of parliament for Ifutu.
Yeah.
That is what he is. Any other, position, leader of this or this, all those things are fleeting and temporary. And they are decided by others, not by him. Right? So the only position that he can hold constitutionally and insist on being referred to as is member of parliament for Ifutu. Besides that, he can't force anybody to call him anything. And we don't care what he wants to be called.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Life goes on. I'm glad I have you. We are just talking. So the election is a few days away. Yeah. Well, a week and whatever.
Yeah.
What's your reading of it? What are we to expect? Your reading.
Nothing. Let us expect nothing.
Really?
Because nothing will change. Ghanaians will go back to the ballot and choose either the NDC or the NPP.
And go back to our old lives again.
Exactly. I mean, when has one of those choices changed Ghana? Never. This year won't be any different.
That's an interesting angle.
There is nothing new on offer. We've seen it all, we've heard it all. And you see, unfortunately, the reason why Ghanaians continue to return these same two parties to power, one after the other, is because we think voting is betting.
We think voting
is betting.
Is betting.
We want to put our vote on the winner. Because you see, if you bet on the winner, you get a return, don't you? If you put your money on the one that wins, you get a return. Voting doesn't work that way. You only get a return if you put your money on a good choice. That's when you get a return. So it's not about who wins. It's about who is best. But if you focus on who will win, and I'm voting for this guy because he will win, or worse, I won't vote for this guy because he can't win. That is much, much worse. So sometimes a candidate presents himself to you, you listen to what he says, and you think, this guy is actually good. He actually makes sense.
Yeah.
He's actually offering to do things differently from how we've done them for decades. But he won't win. So I'm not going to vote for him. Are you betting or voting? So unfortunately, as long as we continue to think of the ballot box as a betting shop, we will continue to get nothing out of our elections. Just a couple of parties taking turns to come and spend our money. That's it. So if you ask me what to expect, I'm sorry, but nothing. Because we are going to return one of those two. It's going to be NDC or NPP. So really, how is your life going to change?
Not based on their promises, manifestos.
Okay, these promises, are they any different from what they've been promising us every year?
Yeah.
There's nothing different in there. Somebody says he's come to do a 24-hour economy. Don't get me started on that thing. Another person too says, digitalization, you're hungry, they are digitalizing you. So, really, which of these two is promising to transform Ghana? And in any case, they have 4 years. So which of them can transform Ghana in 4 years?
Says he will transform Ghana.
Who?
Alan.
Yes.
There's a transformation plan.
Yes, he has a transformation plan, right? Now, let me be fair to them. It's not that these promises don't make sense or these ideas that they are proposing don't make sense. They do. They do. But I think that on one side, they have proved that regardless of how sensible their promises are, they will not carry them out. Or they did not carry them out for 8 years. On another side, they've come along and demonstrated that all they know how to do is repackage old meat. That is it. Every time they come and repack. Look, I don't want to go into the detail of it. Otherwise, I will sound like I'm giving specific critiques on specific candidates, and then somebody might think that I'm trying to tell you who to vote for. I'll never do that. All I'm saying is there is nothing new. Now, some of the independents, I mean, it's worth taking a look at them just on the basis that we've never had an independent president before. So it would be different. At this point, different is good, as long as it's not worse, right? So I like the idea of different. Again, I won't suggest to you who to pick, but look, if you want something new in your life, vote for someone new. I think that makes sense.
If that someone new is not telling you anything worth expecting, and it's the same old, you are talking them. But at least we haven't tried them before. Let's try this.
No. Please be confident in your choice. Make it based on something of value. Pay attention to what they are saying. And if you find value in someone new, vote for them. What I'm saying is that if we return the same old two then we know there will be nothing new. I mean, that one guarantees you 0 results. Or unfortunately, if you pick the wrong one out of the 2, guarantees you worse results. But I'm saying, let's consider these new ones. Is there someone in there who is saying something that makes sense? Who we think
For you, is there?
There are a couple. There are a couple of options we should pay attention to. I mean, forgive me, I won't let you lock me down to,
I know. I wouldn't even try.
To breaking the electoral law and announcing who I'll be voting for. But I think there are a couple of names in there that we should pay attention to, at least.
You don't mind voting for anyone, even if you know they won't win. You don't mind because you're not betting.
Well, if I don't vote for them, then they definitely won't win. So I'm happy to vote for someone who I think could offer us something new. I don't care about whether they win or not. Okay. In fact, I'm hoping that everybody will think like me and vote for the person who I believe will give me a return. Right? The person who I believe will actually improve my life. If I'm voting on that basis, then I'm not thinking about whether they will win or not. I'm just voting because I think this guy will improve my life. And if all Ghanaians do that, then who knows? One of these new people could emerge. And I mean, that would be a fantastic day for Ghana. I think it would be.
This issue about voting, like you're talking about voting for your conscience. If deep in your conscience you know it is this guy.
Yeah.
But history tells us that there is no way. You think we should still go ahead and try?
History tells us that there's no way he will win, is what you're saying.
Yes, he will win, yes.
Well, it's not history that is telling us that. It's the votes that is telling us that there's no way he will win. So if we vote for that person, then of course he will win. That's the only thing required.
To vote.
Yeah. So if we want someone new, let's vote for someone new.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying 100%. Except that it's a bet. I'm sticking it. You're betting. Where am I going to stake? You're going to just go embarrass me.
Yeah. I mean, look, so, I wish my vote was a bet. I wish. I think it would make things simpler. You know, then I just calculate the averages, who's going to win. Then I back the winning horse. But it's not a bet. It's not a bet because if I back the winning horse, I don't get a return. If it was a bet, when I back the winning horse, I would get a return. But it's not. So if I pick Mahama or Baumia and one of them wins, and it's the one I picked, I don't get a return. Because my life won't improve.
But if you vote for your conscience,
then hopefully we'll get something new. Because for our lives to improve, we have to do something different from what we've been doing so far. Because what we've been doing so far has not improved our lives, has it? So we have to do something different.
Quickly, so do you believe, and people have said it, all two are the same, we need a third force. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, we need more forces. I wouldn't limit myself to just a third force. I think the more choices we have, the better our final option will be. The more good choices we have, the better our final option will be. So we need a third, a fourth, a fifth choice, a fifth force. We need credible people to come through the system who are not beholden to the existing parties. So that once they win, they don't have, a team of black-suited businessmen sitting in the next room waiting for contracts to clear all the money that they spent on them while they were in opposition or the money they spent to fund their campaigns. There's no such group of, no such conglomerate of contract winners sitting in waiting to come and determine the whole agenda of the nation for their pocket's sake. Let's just get someone who owes nobody to come along who has positive ideas for this nation. Then if we have to give him 4 years, 8 years to do something new in our lives, then at least we know that we are on a path to restoration.
I'll give you what I think about this because I value your ideas and I want to pick your brains on this. I've always told people that I don't believe in the third force, fourth, fifth, anything. I believe in the first force. And the first force, the Constitution says, is the people of Ghana.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think that if we have a very intelligent first force, they can, I don't care whether it's the two parties or whatever, but they can look you in the face and say, Massa, we gave you 4 years, you have effed up, move away. Let's try this one. We gave you, moved away, until the people in power can feel that the first force is watching and their lives depend on that first force, they won't think. You know, it's almost like, oh, well, but I'm entitled to the 8 years or whatever, you know. But the first force says, yeah, you're entitled because you're doing good work. We have seen the first 4 years, it's been magnificent. So let's give you another 4, you know. Or the first force will tell you, Masa, clear off. I don't see a dear grow Hannah. So that's, you know, every time they talk, we need a third force. The problem I have with the third force, Nana, is that this third force, they are coming from the same Ghanaian, Ghana for hypocrites. We don't do this, we don't do the same stock. They make the two, you know. So if you bring a third force and it's the same thing, it's coming from the same stock, where do you win? So
I get your point. I mean, if and I suppose we're saying the same thing in different language. So yes, if you keep voting for the same thing, you will keep getting the same results.
Yes.
So if you go and pick a third option that is exactly like the first two, you won't get anything different. The way in which a third option can be good for us is if that third option is not like the first two. Then it will be good for us. Right? Now, how can they be different from the first two? Well, I would hope that if they didn't come into power with debt around their necks, if they didn't come into power beholden to some faceless people who will now determine who you appoint, who will determine who gets contracts, so that these decisions, and by the way, these are the decisions that change a nation. Who is appointed, who is contracted. So if a person can come into the office of the president and make those decisions without being in debt to some people who are serving their personal interest, and so he can make those decisions with the interest of the first force in mind, then we would win. That would be a difference. That would be someone coming from the same stock but giving us different results. That would be Nkrumah. Nkrumah came from us.
Yeah.
But boy, was he different.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah. So I certainly live in hope that one day the first force would become intelligent enough, analytical enough, and brave enough to put their vote where they will get results, not just behind the one they think will win. It's not a horse race. It's an election.
Let's look at the picture, a big picture, Gojo. You know, here, even to be able to run as a presidential candidate and run a successful campaign, you're talking about the neighborhood of like, what, $100 million? Crazy money.
Yeah.
You know, you need people to back you to go to where you're going. And the very fact that you are beholden to these people who are backing you, doesn't that question the whole system? Are we going to, how do we do it now? Because that's the system we have.
You're right. You see, because it costs so much money to run a campaign, what these two parties tend to do is they pick the easiest way to raise that money, which is to go to the people who have it, you know, sitting in their bank account today. So they can go to 3 people and get that money. But then it just means that the next 4 years belongs to those 3 people.
Yeah.
So if someone is willing to do it the hard way, because there is another way to raise money. Like, you can raise it from the first force. You see it happening in more developed democracies like the United States. Barack Obama did it to, I mean, great applause. You can raise the money. It's hard, but you can raise the money in a way that doesn't leave you indebted to people who pursue their interest over the public interest. If the money came from the public, then it's their interest you have to serve, and that's okay. That's a debt you can live with. You know, so that's the hard way to do it. And I mean, if somebody applies himself and achieves it the hard way, he's earned my vote.
Show some love, man. Folks, let me take a short commercial break here. When we come back, it's going to get even more intense because, and then Nana, stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe it's our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek. A most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
The KSM Show.
I am Alan Shematin, the founder and leader of the Movement for Change and also the leader of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, otherwise known as the Butterfly Movement. Please keep on watching the KSM Show. This is not just because he's my brother, but he's the greatest of all. Keep watching KSM.
Yes, folks, we're back, and I have Nana Kojo Ntinyi, who's here with us, and we are having a ball, man. We are having a ball. Kojo, we are back.
Yes, Uncle K.
And just before the commercial break, we're talking about how the system is structured so that if you want to be a presidential candidate, you have to depend on those who have deep pockets. And you're talking about how somebody like Barack Obama, you know, he went to the people. It was a people-funded thing. Yeah. Okay. This is Ghana, you know. That's what I want to ask you. What do you... People say, whether it's Ghana, America, we're all the same people, but we are not. Americans know that if I want this guy, I have to sacrifice to bring this guy in. You know. Ghanaians, on the other hand, hey, if you want to come in, then you have to sacrifice to give me something. Mommy t-shirt.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So in Ghana, it's like the reverse. You have to give them something. And in America, no, they think they have to give you something.
Exactly.
How do we reverse that in Ghana? Do you think we can get to a point in the next few years where a Ghanaian, I know I heard Shada one time saying that, you know, if you want to vote for me, then contribute to my campaign, blah, 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 blah. You know, what's going on that line. And even before him, Kofi Wayo, you know, and I remember Ghanaians, now Kofi Wayo, you're not serious.
Yeah.
Open president, you know.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that?
Well, I think a little bit of it is what you suggested, you know, that the first force has to develop its capacity. We have to become a more enlightened society. And that's where people like us come in, you know, the conversations we have on shows like this, the amount of resource and time that we put towards conversations that will elevate the thinking of the Ghanaian, so that you understand that actually the economics work the other way around. That if you want something good, you have to pay for it. Nobody pays you to give you something good. If you want something good, you have to pay for it. That's economics. No one is going to give you money for the privilege of giving you good things.
Only in Ghana.
Yeah, so if someone comes to you and says, I'm giving you a bag of rice so that I can improve your life when you vote for me. I mean, just think about the logic of it. There's none.
Yeah.
There's no logic there. It doesn't make any economic sense. that is not how the world works, so it will not work that way for you. If he's paying you, then he's paying to take something away from you. So the minute you accept that money from him, you have given up something. And you won't know what you've given up until he's in the presidency and he's showing you shaggy. Then you know what you've sold. So it's important that we have conversations like this that will open up the minds of the public. I think that sometimes we think, okay, if we can educate them more, and that's important, by the way. If you can educate your population, that's step one. Okay, but of course you have to even pay attention to what you're educating and what you're teaching. So, but it's important.
And also, who is doing the education? Educating.
Thank you. So let's have a more educated society, definitely. But the things we talk about should change. And the media has such power. We set the agenda, and we take that power for granted. Again, we are also doing it upside down. So we are giving people what they already want. Oh, they like kokonsa, they like gossip, they like politics. So we are giving them what they want. The most successful marketing campaigns in the world, the ones done by the Toyotas, the Coca-Colas of this world, those adverts that as soon as it hits your screen, these people make billions just from the message that they put in that advert. Those advertising campaigns, the one thing they do is they tell you what you want. They don't say, oh, you already know what you want and I have it, so come to me. No.
This is what you want.
They tell you, my friend, this is what you want. And they succeed in telling you that. So once they succeed and you accept that, yes, this is what I want, then you spend your money on it. So the media needs to understand that we have the power to tell people what they want so that they will pursue it. And if we abuse that power and constantly take the easy way out and just, try and meet the audience where they are, instead of taking them where they should be, then we will never have that enlightened society. No matter how much we educate people, we will never enlighten this society. So we have to stop meeting them where they are and take them to where they should be. And if we can do that in a concerted way, unfortunately the media in this country, we are too busy competing. But on the few occasions when we come together, you see what we achieve? Look at Galamsey. So we need to start rethinking the dynamic. We need to first of all decide on where the people of Ghana should be and then collectively decide to take them there. Once we do that, I think the problem of people expecting to be paid for their vote will go away.
No, I like that angle. And I think that to all intents and purposes, that is what we should be doing. That is the only intelligent thing. But what's the reality, Koju? The media, some of them are, sadly to say, so badly paid. The media lacks some of the basic things that people should have. There are terms of employment. Everything is bad. So any politician who looks around and says, Charlie, come and meet me in the office. Here's an envelope. Even if the envelope contains money that is just twice their salary, hey, you are gonna. Hey, I'm going to throw more envelope. So that's the state Ghana is in, that people have been so impoverished, not financially impoverished, but even mentally. So that anybody can just come up and pretend that they are saviors. And so how strong can we develop a media that is like, we have a conscience, this is where we are taking the people rather than meeting them halfway?
I mean, the financial side here, it's out of our hands. The economy dictates. And unfortunately, we have an economy that is crippled, and we are crippling it further every day. So if we are expecting a day to come when journalists will be paid well enough for the
forget it.
So the only thing that is within our control, the only thing we can start working on is the mind. That we can do. That we can do. And
how can we do that?
Well, we've seen it done elsewhere. So maybe we can borrow ideas from elsewhere. I mean, how did the United States do it? When Woodward and Bernstein, two of the most important journalists in human history, when they uncovered the Watergate scandal, They were not well paid. In fact, I believe one of them was the equivalent of an intern. I mean, he had some experience, he worked in other places, but he wasn't making money. He wasn't making good money. What is it that made him follow the story? What is it that made him put his nose in the thing, not look left, not look right, not accept any bribes to cover it up and expose it to the world in a way that changed the face of civilization? What made him do it? You see, in the 30s, the Americans started something. They started brainwashing their people for good. They sold something called the American dream. They said that every human being deserves to own a house. Every human being deserves to have a wife, 2.5 children, and a dog. They packaged
That's the
it.
American dream.
Yes,
Yeah.
they packaged it and they started selling it everywhere. Every picture you see had the American dream in it. Every movie you watch had the American dream in it. Every cartoon, So even if you didn't want to accept it, it became your reality. At a certain level, Ghanaians need to decide what we want our reality to be, and then we need to love bomb the population with it. Everywhere you look, you have to see the Ghanaian dream. It will get to a point where even us, seasoned cynics, will be forced to accept that the world has changed. We'll be forced to accept it. But as for the young ones, I mean, they will accept whatever reality we show them. So we need to show them the right reality so that 10 years from now, we will have a critical thinking mass of Ghanaians who have accepted that no, this is how we should be, not that. And the rest of us will be forced to follow them. But someone has to make that active decision to design the Ghanaian dream. And then the rest of us, we just have to propagate. We just have to push it. We have to brainwash our people into being smarter.
I'll come back to this. I was talking to somebody one time, and he was talking about how our thinking was wrong. The whole educational system must change. We need to teach the kids, blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah, but the problem is, who will teach that? Because those who are supposed to teach that are wrong, you know. Yeah. So what are they going to teach?
Yeah.
So
it's a paradox.
Yes.
You know, the people who we are relying on to change things are benefiting from the way things are.
Yeah.
So they are not motivated to change things. It's a difficult one. It's almost as if sometimes when I think about it, the quickest way to our development is luck. If we are lucky enough for someone to make it through into leadership, whose mind is right.
Yeah.
I mean, but we can't bank our future on luck. We can't.
Yeah.
So we must find a way of forcing those that we are choosing from today to do things the right way. We must find a way. And again, we come back to the same media. We come back to the same fourth estate. We seem to be best placed to actually make people stand up and say, hey, democracy doesn't only happen once every 4 years. It happens every day. Happens every day. So if we've chosen you, you better be doing the right thing today. Otherwise, you face the consequence today, not 4 years from now. We need to start making people understand their power. And we need to start giving them opportunities to demonstrate it. If on a daily basis, we let people demonstrate their own power so that they realize it's not an abstract idea, it's a real thing. Maybe little by little, that's the way forward. It's hard, so we can't expect it to be done in a day, a year, in a term.
That's true.
No, it's hard.
I really agree with that. It is hard. We can't expect it to be done in a year or a day, as you're saying. But we can decide where do we start and when. And that's my question to you, Kojo. Nana, where is the starting point?
Some of us have to take the bull by the horns ourselves, start in our own small way. If we do it and it looks good, if we say it and it sounds good, others will pick up on it. It has to be that sort of building of critical mass, you know, because there's no way of doing it through the system. The system benefits from being wrong.
So we just have to jumpstart the thing, the best you can do on your own.
It's the only way at this point. But if we don't do that, and if this is the only way, then the surest guarantee of failure is if we don't do it. We have to do it.
Wow. Wow. It's like we don't have a choice. And we're sitting down wondering, so who will start? And you are saying...
It has to be me, Kojo, Nana, Kojo,
Nana.
Kojo Youngson. It has to be me. If I start and it works, or it sounds good, it makes sense, someone else will start.
Yeah.
Then, little by little.
Yeah. You're a motivational person as well. You speak a lot. The morning man, the message man, you had some morning messages from...
Message from the morning
Message
man.
from the morning man.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that, as the morning man message.
Yeah.
Let's say you are talking to Young Ghana for, who are steep. We don't seem to have any sense of urgency. Everything, nyame beye. What should we do about this?
It's a tough one. Okay, this is how I would put it. There's a condition called Stockholm Syndrome. It was in the 80s, I think, that this thing happened, 70s or 80s. There was a hostage situation in a town called Norrmalmstorg, which is in Scandinavia. I think it's in Sweden. Now, a bunch of guys hijacked a bank. They were robbing the bank. They held everybody in the bank hostage. And they were in this hostage situation for, I think, several days. Now, during that time, the police were outside. The bank robbers had their demands. The police were, so there was a negotiation going on. And they had all these hostages in the bank. And during that time, the threat to these hostages, the armed men who were a threat to the lives of these hostages, kept having conversations with these hostages. So what should we do? What should we tell them? Little by little, the hostages grew a bond. They built a bond with their kidnappers. They became attached to their oppressors. They became friends to the risk to their lives. And by the time the hostage situation ended, they were all on the side of the hostage takers, trying to shield them from the authorities. Some of them had even fallen in love with some of the hostage takers. From this, a mental condition called Stockholm Syndrome was identified, where you love your oppressor. Ghanaians have Stockholm Syndrome. We love our oppressor. The things that are putting us down, we are in love with them. Partisan politics is the death of us, but we love it. Corruption, it has decimated ourselves, our lives, and our future, but we love it. It is the most corrupt person, the one who gets rich quickest, that we put in the front seat at harvest in church. He's the one we call honorable. He's the one we will allow through first and give him the choicest parking spot. We love the things that kill us. Galamsey, just a few people are benefiting from the decimation of entire land masses. The thing that is killing all of us. But we are protecting them. You hear Ghanaians saying things like, oh, let's hold on. Let's not talk about Galamsey until after the election. These are Ghanaians. The same Ghanaians who no longer have a clean water body in the country, apart from the voter. The same Ghanaians are saying, no. Let's protect the ones who are killing us, the ones who are poisoning our water. Let's protect them until after the election. Then we can say whatever we want to say. We will drink poison. Let's drink poison until the election ends. Then we can come back and talk about Galamsey. That's the Ghanaian mentality. We love the thing that kills us. Now, if we can just wake up to this truth, if we can just wake up to the realization that we are the ones allowing our death, we are the ones permitting it, and that if we say no, it stops. If we can just understand that our condition is Stockholm Syndrome, that's the name of it. Recognize, diagnose yourself correctly.
Yeah.
If we can diagnose ourselves correctly, then we have a chance of curing it. But step one is as admitting there's a problem. This is the problem. We love what kills us. So I beg you, fellow Ghanaians, to borrow. let's just recognize what we are doing wrong and stop it. Now I know it's easier said than done. You know, it takes a lot. If you've conditioned yourself to love your oppressor, it's very difficult to break away. It's very difficult. You know, abused women, are a very typical example of this. You know, an abused woman, you will hear of an abused woman continuing to stay with her abuser
and defend the man who's abusing her.
Indeed, you know, because fear holds her captive. You know, but hope will set you free. So you need to find a hope outside the thing that's killing you. You need to be able to set your sight on something beyond the constraints of your current life. Set your sight on it and believe that it's yours, you deserve it, so that you can start saying no to the excrement you are being fed, because you deserve a banquet. If we can just start with that, if we can all just start with that, let's just admit this is our condition, then there will be hope. So if you're asking me to motivate Ghanaians, that's what I'll say. Please diagnose your Stockholm Syndrome and then let's find a cure together.
Wow. I mean, this Stockholm Syndrome thing that you're talking about, I see some people have done some movies. Dog Day Afternoon, I don't know that.
Dog Day Afternoon, Al Pacino. No, near woman, but I think
for you kids out there,
1978 or 75.
Yeah,
yes.
Go and look out for Dog's Day Afternoon. And recently, Heist on Netflix.
Yes.
How they were bonding with their.
Indeed. Perfect examples of Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah.
So Ghana, we are in love with our pain.
Yeah.
This is a very, very interesting angle that I have never been able to quite understand. Okay, so we have figured out we have the Stockholm Syndrome. Who's doing the diagnosis for us as a nation that I have to take my people out of this?
This one has to be individual.
It has
to be individual diagnosis. We have to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Each of us has to identify that, look, these are the ways in which I enable my oppression. I mean, everyone has to do that job themselves.
Is it not academic?
It's not. It's real. It's real. I'm giving you examples.
Is that very, very real? But I'm talking about the approach to getting out of it.
Okay, you see, it's necessary, academic or not. It's necessary. If you don't recognize what you are doing wrong, you can never do the right thing. So it may be academic. It may be that, yes, you are taking pen and paper and doing pros and cons. but if you don't, there's no hope for you. You know, if you don't, you go back to the ballot box and pick an oppressor. You have no choice. If you haven't done this work and recognize that I am locked into this idea that I have no choice, it has to be this one or that one. If you don't divorce yourself from that, then where will your salvation come from? It won't come. So it may be academic, Uncle K, I agree. In many cases it is academic, but it's also necessary.
Yeah, very, very necessary. But then again, let me move on to the next step. Okay, so you have articulated this Stockholm Syndrome brilliantly. I understand. I'm sure many of our viewers understand. There are many out there who are absolutely clueless, understandably so. Do you leave them out, say one day they will figure them out? Or how do you get to those who are totally clueless and could you cry do you leave them until they get to the time where they have evolved enough to start understanding it, or there's a way that you can get to them to force them to start understanding it?
We have to have the conversation with them anyway. We have to start. It will sound a bit different from the one I'm having with you, because it has to be more relatable to their lives. You have to go into their community and show them their Stockholm Syndrome in their environment. And then it will become a little more real for them.
Real.
You know, if somebody has traveled all the way to your village in a 4x4 to come and tell you that I can't afford to build a hospital for you. And I can come and tell you the cost of that 4x4. I'm only 20 source. If I can tell you the cost of it, Then if that man comes to you and tells you that I can't afford to build you a hospital, you know he's lying.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wear his t-shirt and come and stand on his rally ground and shout his name. You
Yeah.
don't, because you know he's telling you a lie. He came in a vehicle that could solve your problem. He came in 20 of them and says, I can't solve your problem. So we have to just have the conversations in ways that relate.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's an individual journey that everyone must embark on.
Yeah.
So you have to talk to everyone in a way that
They can
affects
relate
them
to.
individually.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
This is some joke, but I think it's very applicable here. I hear some group went to some village to educate them on healthy eating and the right things to do. And so there was this shot of a fly, magnified fly on somebody's food, eating the food for them to explain to the villagers that, Charlie, this is how flies affect your food, blah, 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 blah. After they've done all their presentation, they open the floor for questioning. The first question said, Master, thank you very, very much. But the flies you have in our village here, they're not this big. Once in a while, almost to say you.
Exactly.
Hey, what is super? You know, this is just to joke, but when you talk about taking the Stockholm policy and making it real and relatable to them, this is an example. It was not real. Who has seen this house fly magnified this big?
Indeed. So yeah, I mean, you really highlighted one of the big dangers of mass education.
Yeah.
Is that if we take a one message fits all approach, we'll fail. So we need to treat people as humans, as individuals with personal experiences that we must learn about if we are going to teach them a way out of their circumstance. We must learn about their circumstance so that our conversation is relevant to their circumstance. Then if you tell them that, well, the way out is this way, it will make sense to them.
They know, you understand.
Yeah.
They can relate.
It's hard work, It's hard work. But every successful nation did hard work. Malaysia, they didn't wake up and suddenly be, an Asian tiger. Singapore, they didn't just get up and be a superpower, which they are now. But how did they do it? How did they do it? The hard work. They started with less than we have. Less than we have. But I mean, they were lucky in some senses. I mean, people like Lee Kuan Yew made such a big difference to that part of the world. I mean, they were Nkrumah-like in the sense that they were single-minded in their pursuit of collective progress. They were lucky. Our luck expired in 1966 when we removed Nkrumah, and since then, lightning hasn't struck twice, But I think now we have to forget about it coming from the top. It has to come from the middle or the bottom. It has to be us doing it one at a time. One at a time. We do one, and it's 32.99 million more to go. One more. We have to do it.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We have a choice. Yeah. Show some love, man. Now I'm going to switch the meter band right here. I don't think so. When we were young, we were listening to our only radio station, GBC1. Mutia, at some point, they said now we are switching the meter band. We are going to transmit on a different meter. So you have to tune in your radio to go and catch where the now. I say, yeah, switching meter band. No, you can't Mutia say. What meter band? No, until you grew up in those days.
Well, I
when
did.
we tried to switch the meter band.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Well, yes. So I mean, my father used to listen to BBC Radio 1.
Yeah.
And so yes, he had to pretty much park himself by it.
Yeah.
So he can follow the
thing exactly.
wherever it goes.
So I'm switching the meter band right now. Nana, let's go personal, man.
Okay.
Let's go personal, man.
With TV.
I mean, you said, good-looking man, Mama Fansipa, and you came with a very beautiful lady.
Hey.
I'm sorry, audience.
Hey.
We won't show you the lady. This is to the us here. Very, very beautiful lady. You know, of course, as a host, as you are, I'm tempted to ask, you know, enamfo, krasa, and I say, nyamien, you can't say, nyamipa, bibi diachire.
Oh, why madam for?
Wonderful. Kra.
Why madam for?
Yeah. Hata. That's.
Nyao binyano no.
The oh, how? Okay.
You know, I mean, we're at that stage in life where we are hoping God guides us, you know, in the right direction. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. They are hoping God guides them in the right direction. Okay. No, show some love, man. And whenever that direction comes, I want the invitations home.
So,
my baby.
Mate, may I harvest chairman.
And another thing, Kojo.
Yes.
You know, the last time we were on my show, I was talking about I'm going to another realm, you know, about how Ghana, we don't seem to have any sense of urgency and things. And you came up with some concept, that you think how Africa is, we have the good sun, good weather, so that why rush?
Yeah.
But in Europe, when you have to get up at 4 a.m. in the snow and you're shaking, you have to work, you act differently.
Yeah.
But Miss point of view before we come back to
it's the same way. I mean, I did this several years ago, and when I did, I had to start with a disclaimer that this is my personal theory. I wasn't there, you know, at the beginning of time, at the beginning of civilization. So this is my imagination of how things must have gone. But because it sounds plausible, it feels like the possible explanation for why things are so different in this part of the world compared to more developed parts of the world. So I started off by explaining that those who first settled on the European continent must have had a very hard time. I mean, the whole thing was frozen. You know, you had to dig through ice to get a patch of soil to plant something for it to grow. You had to be faster than the slowest rabbit, otherwise you won't get any protein to eat. You had to, again, be quicker than the fastest bear, otherwise you would be killed. You had to build shelter by nightfall, otherwise you would die by morning. You basically had to be excellent or die. Those were the two choices available to you. So those who settled there
had no choice.
Yes, they had no choice but to be good.
Yeah.
And you can imagine that they would pass on that mindset from generation to generation to generation, so that they would generally prefer to believe that whether things work out well or not is up to them. And they had to be deliberate about making things happen for them. You can imagine that. Now imagine those who first settled in Africa, where civilization was birthed, surrounded by abundance. I mean, you stick your hand out of your cave and you pluck a mango, that's lunch. I mean, these animals are everywhere. You can't walk 2 steps without tripping over a rabbit that someone would have to set traps and, you know, hide in bushes to hunt for in Europe. Everything is available and abundant. So you can imagine that little by little, the African would start to find it less urgent to step out in search of food. Because in your mind, when you do step out, you'll get some. So why rush?
Maybe you don't even have to step out.
Maybe you don't even have to step out. So why rush? So eventually, if one day you wake up and your larder is bare, and so there's nothing to eat, and you've been sitting on your backside for days, so you don't feel energetic enough to go out there and now go and look if your trap has caught something. and then you start smelling the stew being cooked in your neighbor's cave, you start thinking, what can I say to this neighbor to make him share his stew with me so I don't have to go out hunting for my own? So you have to come up with the best excuse to get something for free. So you can imagine that little by little, the ability to make excuses also became something that we developed quite well. Because it is the natural fallback if you don't want to go out and work. And the desire to go out and work will be diminished by the abundance of resources. So little by little, we also turned into a society of very good excuse makers. Then white man came along and realized that that's the business we are in and gave us religion, organized religion, which then became the buffet table of excuses. Oh, it's not up to me, that will be done. If my child is going to grow up and be somebody in life, it's if God wills it. If my farm is going to yield a good crop this year, it is if it's God's will. If if I'm going to achieve anything, if I'm going to do better than my father did, it is if God wills it. And if I don't, then it's because God cursed me, or the gods cursed me, or some other power other than my own is responsible for my lot. And do we not see evidence of it in our everyday lives today? Are we not the most religious people? Are we not? But how much practical activity do we buttress our religion with? Because look, religion is important. I have faith. I believe in God. But I believe that God expects me to work out my own salvation. I believe that God expects me to be the author of my destiny. I believe that God expects me to convince him before he grants me what I pray for. And there are examples in the Bible of people who had to negotiate with God and convince him to their way of thinking. It's happened many times. God wanted to kill all those Israelites who turned to idol worship while Moses was out there, downloading the 10 Commandments. Moses had to convince him to let them live. And he succeeded, thank God. Otherwise, there would be no Israel.
Show some love, man. I have to chip that in because that's a very, very interesting angle that I will invite you back one day and I'm going to discuss you.
It will be my pleasure.
Get ready. You'll be back.
Mate.
But I won't let you get away with it. You haven't done full disclosure of who you came with. Disclosure. Why not half of it?
I came with my friend.
You came with your friend.
That's it.
Yeah. Folks, she's a very, very beautiful friend and extremely gorgeous. And Nana is also a very handsome man. Extremely handsome. And I can imagine the effects that will emanate from their union. Show them some love for that.
Are you happy that you have put me in trouble now?
You are in trouble. So if there are any ladies there that Kojoni can say, oh, next year, boy, or the number. So tell them you saw it on TV that KSM say, oh, boy. Kojo, Nana. Nana, thank you so much. As always, a pleasure having you here, man.
It's such fun to be with you, Uncle K. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. And you'll be back. Then we'll go into this deep, thinking about why we are, where we are, and who we are.
I look forward to it.
Sure. So, folks, until we come back again, KSM signing off, as I always do, in the same old words. We are out of, let the whole world say, yeah.
KSM Show.